Today's video, the first time you realized America really messed you up.
We are Lisa and Greg, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you are curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the US and Europe, you came to the right place. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be one of the 10,000 that's going to 10,000. Okay, this is a TikTok Reacts. Mm-hmm. Have we done stuff by them?
Yeah, so. We have done stuff about America saying dumb things.
Yeah.
But I think this is Americans saying stuff about America itself.
Should be interesting. Be interesting. Well, Lisa will include a link in the description so you can go and show them some love, and we'll get them up to, I think we can get them up to 2,000.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's a smaller channel like that.
Well, we're going to make it bigger.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Oh, so these are Americans living abroad.
Okay.
So
we could be on here.
Yeah, we could be on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
When I was dancing in Australia, I did a jump and landed on the outside of my right foot. I sprained it real bad. Oh. And they drove me to a private hospital, and I was like panicking. But anyway, that's the one that was available to me at the time. And on my way into the lobby, I was, hobbling on my crutches. And they spotted me from the parking lot. The doctor came out to me before I even was in the building and went back into the hospital and told them that I was coming. In the waiting room, they came into the waiting room to examine my foot. And I never paid a penny for that shit.
Wow. Oh. I'll say we had, our son had, he's always doing something, but he like rolled his ankle really bad to where he thought it was broken. And I remember when we went for a follow-up and the doctor was like, it's not broken. Okay. And, and he was like, it never was broken. We're like, huh? They said it was. And he was like, okay, I'm just going to go have you do another x-ray.
Oh.
Like, we didn't really, in America, we'd have been like, no. I mean, it's okay. If you say it's not broken because we know there's something, it's something but here it's just like,
pay for another
They didn't really think anything of it. Like, go and do another x-ray. Then when you're done, come right back to us. And it was all done at the same time.
And the doctor walked us all the way over to where we needed to go. So he went from one end of the hospital to the other end to show us exactly where we needed to go.
Right. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Yeah. So I can make like 200 of these, but I'll just talk about the first time I realized how fucked up the U.S. is, which was in the first week that I got to Sweden, when my boyfriend's family told me that I need to make sure I get insured, and that I get insurance for everything I own, my laptop, my bike, my apartment, my whole body. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's so expensive. Like, I'm already super in debt with student loans, so no. But I asked out of curiosity, just like how much it was going to cost. $100 a year to insure everything I have.
What in the hell? Wow.
To insure everything she had. So it's kind of like maybe like renter's insurance or property insurance.
Right.
In America.
It's probably more like renter's insurance because it covers everything that she has. And no, renter's insurance. I sell insurance. But renter's insurance doesn't give you liability. Oh. So it doesn't cover you. It just covers your belongings.
Oh, yeah. Just
and it's usually like $15-$20 a month, something like that. Mm-hmm. But she said it covers you. So that gives you liability, which is an extra expense in America.
Right.
For $100. Wow. So basically like $8. I better get this right because I know people are going to be like, that's not $100. But basically about $8 a month.
Yeah. But it's sad that her instinct was, I can't do that.
Right.
That's so expensive. I'm not going to, don't worry about it. But luckily she asked.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For reference, like the average American person spends $456 a month just on health insurance.
Yeah.
Oh,
just for healthcare.
Well, she's talking about health insurance too?
She said her body. That's why it was confusing because her her belongings and her health?
I guess. I mean, that's amazing.
That is.
That doesn't include cars or home insurance.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I'm not currently living abroad, but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy and I ended up on public transportation without a phone. And I had to find my way back to my apartment and I got lost. And while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me and I immediately went into attack mode and I was like going to kill him. And he was like, no, I was just going to tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston.
Oh.
And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Like, granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. Mm-hmm. But in America, I still am.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I've been waiting for this one. So at the time, I was living in Germany, and I had gotten food poisoning after traveling back from a country. And I was so sick. I was not eating, not taking anything, and it had been 4 or 5 days. It was really bad. I was too afraid to go to the hospital, one, because I was afraid I couldn't translate, but two, I just didn't want to deal with everything. But my friend said, no, we have to go. So I went. Tell me why we didn't have to wait on an emergency line. I was in the emergency room looking around. I was like, where do I sign in? Where's the line? Where are all the people? And they're like, no, you can go right in and go sit down. We'll be right with you. And I literally walked straight into the office, straight in. And while I was struggling to explain what was going on, they brought in 5 different doctors of each different one. And it only took them 5 minutes to come each time when they realized they couldn't help me. It was somebody else they needed. And I didn't have to pay anything on top of that.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know that this is not something that is 100% true in every country in Europe where you don't have a wait. In fact, I know in Spain you have a wait if you go at a certain time of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
But there are, and you can't always control when you have to go. But there are other times of the day where you have no wait at all, which that's one of the examples that I just gave.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's to say that in America, there is no time when you don't have a wait. There's going to be a wait. Yeah.
Especially, oh my God, in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Unless you have a true emergency. One time we had that where our son was fainting and they brought him in pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But if you're just not feeling well, like her, you would have been, hands down, you would have been waiting.
Yeah, you've been waiting.
Mm-hmm. I'm an American living abroad in Thailand. We've been living here for a year now. So we literally moved here when the pandemic started. My husband had a business trip right before the country closed to Singapore. He came back from Singapore with a fever. So they transported him to a hospital. That hospital, however, didn't have the facilities for full-on quarantine, and so they transported him using an ambulance to another hospital where he was COVID tested and quarantined. Luckily, he tested negative, but he still spent 2 days in the hospital and was transported by ambulance. And so I was thinking the cost was going to be so expensive. Mm-hmm. The overall cost of it was less than $300, where back in the States, I know it would have been thousands.
Right.
Just for the ambulance ride,
it would have been.
If you have insurance, it'd be $250 or $300
usually
just for that. If you don't have insurance, that's a whole nother thing. And if you ever have to do an airlift or flight for life, oh God, you're going to be paying a percentage of whatever that cost is, not just a flat rate. So yeah, it would have been a lot of money.
I know.
I know stories of people that have gone bankrupt with just 2 days in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's just incredible to me that healthcare is affordable.
So I'm from LA and I moved to Singapore. And before coming here, I asked all my friends if I should bring anything a pepper spray just in case anything happens. And they were like, no, that's actually illegal. I don't think that they're allowed to have any kind of weapon. And I was like, what? We literally put them in our keychains as accessories. I was like, how do you defend yourself? They were like, from what? You don't have to. It's so safe. I was like, no way. So I Googled it, and no one is allowed to use greater force than necessary to defend themselves. What? The U.S. can't ban guns, but Singapore can ban pepper sprays?
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad.
Singapore is a little different because I know, I've heard stories of you, if you do some of the most menial things like spit gum on the sidewalk or stuff like that.
Something would happen to you.
So that's a little different.
Yeah, you can't do anything wrong over there.
Yeah.
Can ban pepper sprays.
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, when you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place and, you know, it's the land of the free, home of the brave. But, like, I keep hearing these criticisms from people like, oh, yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. Like, that is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. Like, I don't understand. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. Like, they need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their citizens.
Right.
So just
That's true. That freedom, you think people over here in Europe or anywhere else, I don't know what you think, that they're walking around asking for permission to do things or because they're not free.
It's weird. I don't know. It's almost like you think that they don't have the freedom to speak at will.
Yeah.
They don't have the freedom to start a business.
Right.
They don't have the freedom to protest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think all these things, like America is the only place where you can do all these things.
Yeah.
You can speak freely. You have your First Amendment rights. You can carry a gun. You can do this. You can do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. It makes it feel like everywhere else is scary.
Right.
Or,
well, just in the name within itself, the land of the free, home of the brave, land of the free, it's just like, that's where freedom is at.
Right.
So, yeah. And people don't know because you don't ever leave. I know Europeans, I shouldn't say that. People who live in Europe, in our comments, it's like they can't even believe that it's a real thing that people in America or the United States have never left. Like, don't have passports. This is 100% true. Like,
no, it's true.
Yeah, because I don't know why. I don't know, because we could have gone to Mexico or Canada, so it's not like we were too far away from other places. But
I guess there's options within the United States that we just chose to stay within the states because each state's so different.
I guess. I mean, you don't have the aspirations to travel. Yeah. I mean, like when your family wants to travel, it's just like, we're going to go from Las Vegas to Texas.
Right. That's true.
That's our summer vacation.
Right.
We're not leaving the country because America's the best. Like, why would you want to leave the country when you got everything here that you could ever need? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Better and more free for their citizens.
So just for a little context, I live in Latvia now, but when this happened to me, I was working in the UK as a bartender. And my coworkers and I were talking about gun violence in the US, and they were kind of making jokes like, oh, I'm surprised you graduated and you didn't get shot first and stuff like that. And I guess I was trying to defend it. So I was saying, it's not as bad as the news makes it seem. I only know one school that had an active shooter and had to go into lockdown. And, for me, I only had one gun threat in high school, and it was just a threat, and one when I was in elementary school. And then my coworkers kind of looked at me like, you what? And you think that's normal? And I was like, yeah, it's not even that bad.
Oh, it's not even that bad.
I had a friend that was killed in high school on the first day of school. I had people in my neighborhood that were killed. I've heard gunshots around my corner. During the New Year's, the thing over there was to shoot your gun in the air. And I know when bullets got to come down somewhere, but that's what it was in my neighborhood. So there were guns just everywhere. It was a part of what you knew. People had guns. I had multiple friends who had been shot, who had been shooting people. Like these things are real.
Yeah,
guns
I remember
are crazy.
The first time we were staying at your mom's house. We were real young. Yeah. Our youngest was like less than 1.
Yeah.
Or right around 1. And nobody was home. You were at work. This was our first New Year there. And everybody was shooting outside. So me and our son, I took him to the middle of the hallway, and I literally spent New Year sitting on the floor, and I was hovering over him so that imagining that if a bullet came through the roof, it hit me first.
Yeah.
That is literally what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I spent that New Year.
That's how it was. That's how it is over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was in Grenada for a couple of weeks, and every single day between 12 and 2, they would always close down. Everything would just close down. And I was just like, what is going on? And they were like, well, we need to go home and have lunch with our family, you know, just enjoy, just relax a little bit. And that was when I realized every other country out here really understands the value of spending time with your loved ones and just actually taking a break, except America. America just teaches us to work for labor instead of actually living. So don't procrastinate on your happiness, sis. Your worth is not in labor. It's a luxury. Do what you want to do and be happy.
I like her. She's tough.
Yeah.
She ain't lying.
No, she ain't lying.
Oh, I've got a couple. So I'm from Los Angeles and now I live in Austria. And basically when I first started working here, they were like, you get 25 days vacation, Fridays off early, and if you're sick, don't come into work. And I was just like, I was floored. Because in the US, you only get 10 days vacation and like 5 sick days, and you don't get Fridays off early. You better work your ass until it's 9 p.m. On top of all of that, all my friends here have like 2 masters, 3 PhDs, etc., 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 because education here is actually free. Yeah. Amazing. What an amazing concept. In addition, I have yet to see a large homeless community out in the open here in Austria because the government actually offers some social support. A lot of social support. In LA, you have villages, streets, blocks full of homeless people because our government doesn't care about us. And here, people like don't measure their worth off the car they drive.
I'm mad. I'm getting mad. Like I feel some heat rushes. Like I'm just getting angry.
I don't know if we can watch these kind of shows.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating and annoying and real.
But I talk to people in the comments, and I'm always just, one of the things I always say is, I'm just glad we're here.
Yeah.
I would be so sad if we were stuck over there right now.
Yeah.
Hearing all these things and knowing what it's really like in Europe, I would be so sad or so mad or so something.
And it's so interesting. Like I always I never thought that I would like try and distance myself from America, or the United States. And it's like a fine line for me because I always have a belief that I'd like don't want to like put stuff out there. And so, I don't know what my life will bring if I ever have to go back there or something. Who knows? I mean, I really don't plan to.
Let's not put that out there.
So I know. I'm just saying I haven't been like, just like for real, like cut it off and bashing it and all of that kind of stuff, because I think somewhere inside of me, there's still that. So I don't know. It's just okay. We're just going to keep going. Okay.
Okay, so I live in New York now, but I used to live in England. And one time I was out at this bar with my friends and these 2 cops walked by. And one of my friends was like, oh, I wonder why there are cops out right now. And I looked at the cops and I got really confused. And I was like, those are cops? And my friends were like, yeah. And I was like, they don't have guns. No. And everyone was like, why would they have guns? They were like so aghast at that question. And I realized in that moment and learned that guns, there are so few guns in the UK and it's such not an issue that like the everyday cop does not carry a gun. And there are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable. Yeah. It blew my fucking mind. I think about it all the time. I hate guns so much. Yeah.
I was living in Italy and my friend needed an ambulance. We weren't going to get an ambulance because of the cost. And then we learned that in Italy, it's free for ambulances. We were literally like, wow, it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars for an ambulance. That is crazy. A human life is in fact more valuable than profit here. It is so sad that we have accepted if you are in a vulnerable health situation, it will cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and many people go into medical debt because of this. Where are our priorities?
There are none.
It's sad that we accepted that. You know, I'm constantly reminding the boys, and the boys are reminding, our boys are reminding me that we're reminding each other that we don't have to pay for anything as far as healthcare.
Can you think of something that you had the realization that America that's up?
Oh, well, that we're paranoid.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, one of the differences, I'll say it that way, that I realized is the kids have a voice and value here. Mm-hmm. I'm only in Spain. I haven't seen other countries, so I don't know. But you can go to a bar and there's a playground there. Mm-hmm. Like you can probably go through your entire child's childhood and not have to bring over a babysitter.
Yeah.
Because you can take them everywhere and it's accepted. And I think, one of the cool things about it is that there'll be kids out just like running around, making noise. Where in America, they'd be like, first of all, if they were not your kids, you'd be talking to whoever you're with, totally judging them like they don't know how to take care of their kids. They're my kids. I would do this. I would do that. You know. And then if they are your kids, I mean, you're like, shh, come over here, be quiet.
I know. Yeah. Shh.
Yeah. Like
you're trying to control them.
Yeah. And in America, you could be in a grocery store and somebody will tell you if your kids are, acting up, where here it's like, they just run around and just be kids. They make noise. They do all kind of screaming, yelling. And in the beginning, probably when you first come here, you realize that, you were thinking, oh man, this is horrible. Somebody need to get these kids. But now it's like, it just happens.
Yeah. We had friends that invited us out to dinner. And the assumption was that the kids were going.
Right.
Like there wasn't is it okay if we bring our kids nobody asked anybody. Yeah. We just assumed that they were going.
Yeah. And they were there.
Yeah. And they were there. We don't have young kids. But our kids went. Yeah. It's just an assumption the whole family goes.
Yeah. And their kids running around inside the restaurant, jumping up on the stage, doing all kind of everything. Nobody said anything. Cared. Yeah. And another thing, I mean, I got a whole bunch of stuff, let me tell you. But do you have any? Did you?
No, I don't know.
All right. Well, another one for me was that I realized that we need to slow down.
Oh yeah.
Because 100%. In America, it's like, I mean, you just go. Even in a city that's not super busy like New York or San Francisco, one of those, but just in a regular city. And I remember the first time we came out here, we were down in the city center, and it was really busy. And I remember grabbing your hand, like trying to walk you through and like pushing my way through all these people. And I just remember this elderly lady looked at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah. Like, you need to just calm down. Mm-hmm. And I just, in that moment, I was like, sorry. And then I just realized that you just like, if you need to be somewhere at a certain time, leave a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have somewhere to be, don't worry. If somebody gets in front of you, if somebody does this, does that, just chill.
Yeah. The patience level when we first got here, we found ourselves annoyed.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
If somebody stopped right in front of you, if somebody slowed down, if somebody just got in the way, we were always annoyed.
Yeah.
And then that slowdown, we noticed it because we got here first and then our oldest came later. Mm-hmm. And after we were here for like 3-4 weeks, and then we got used to the chill of just sitting down at a cafe and just sitting there for like 2-3 hours. And then when he got here, he was ready to go after like 45 minutes. Yeah. And we were like, no, we're just going to chill. And he, you could see the difference.
Yeah. But now he's okay with it.
Now he sits for hours.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see what the people got to say here.
Okay.
There are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable. Sad truth. But it is the truth. I know.
That actually is the truth.
That is the truth. Mm-hmm. There are people out there that are proud. They got 4 or 5 gun safes with all kinds of weapons in them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, let's see. I know in the USA the cost is really high, but as a European, I find the cost of $300 for an ambulance and 2 days in the hospital extremely expensive. I wouldn't pay anything like this in Germany. Plus, $300 is a lot of money for many Thai people. It is just affordable for Westerners like us. I mean, that's true.
That's true, too.
That's true. But, I mean, even still.
In comparison.
Yeah.
That's what she was trying to do.
You what? You think that's normal? She sounded so British right there. I don't remember that part. Let me see.
Oh, she was imitating her British friends. And she sounded really good.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it would be a good idea to start a U.S. ambulance company. A couple of months' salary with a few minutes' work.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. All right, man.
All right.
This one gets me fired up because it's just so, you just realize that you're insulated, told all these things, and really denied some of the beauty that's out in the rest of the world.
Right.
Like here in Europe, and whether or not it was malicious, I don't know. That's probably a different discussion. But you just realize that when you come here, it's like, damn, like all this stuff is like, it is not the best in America.
No, and it's not Americans' fault.
Right.
They don't know what they don't know. They don't know that it's just different.
Yeah.
Until they've left the United States.
All right, we better go because we just been talking. So hopefully at least one person is still left.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
We get a little out of control. All right. As always, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.
Bye.